What's up, everybody? This is Albert Kempa for the CantinaMX podcast. Welcome to episode 122. Over 100 episodes strong. So we're having a podcast today. I'd like to welcome our guests. We have on the road John. I'll be hosting for today. John is on the road driving from Houston. What's going on, John? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Working the Houston Sports Awards tonight, and they honored three legends here in the city of Houston: Earl Campbell, Nolan Ryan, and Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon. So it was a lot of fun, very nostalgic for someone my age who grew up watching all three of those guys dominate their respective sports, and happen to be on the here, and I'll as soon as I get a little more juice on my phone, I'll try and connect a little better than what I'm doing right now. But good to be on with you guys, and looking forward to chatting with you all tonight.
Good stuff, John. Excuse the audio levels, but like you said, we'll have them in full strength audio here shortly. And next in Escondido, Dan Preciado. What's going on, Dan? How you doing?
Doing good, Beto. Evening, everybody. Happy to be here as always. Another fun weekend Mexican football.
Great stuff. Glad to have you here, Dan. And finally, Joel from LA. What's up, man?
Not much, Al.
Alrighty. Well, we got a sort of a small panel today of guests. Maybe some guys like Ron and Juan and Rigo might come on a little bit later. But I guess to start off, the plan for tonight is to talk a little bit about the beloved Chivas and what's going on here with the goats and their. Would you call it a crisis, Joel, or what's the deal?
It's yeah, with Chivas, it's always we go to extremes. You know, we could be tied for first, and we're the super líderes, and we could lose 3 games, and it's a crisis. But we're yeah, it's a bad start. Not what people were expecting. You know, I saw some of the, you know, how people do league previews before the league starts, and you know, a couple people had Chivas as contenders, you know, and so 4 games in, and they're in 16th place. Just 4 points, 3 defeats, 1 win, 1 draw, but they have a -3 goal differential, which is not looking too good. And their next match will be at home against Santos, who are actually been pretty good. They're on the other end.
In the upper echelon.
Yeah, they're in 7th place. They're Liguilla. They're Liguilla bound so far. But what's worrisome, I'll say, even, you know, because Chivas hasn't been able to win at home. There are 2 games that they played, they've lost them. So I mean, if they were to lose to Santos, that would really hurt their chances of making Liguilla. Even if it's only 5 games in, that's 9 points they would have lost, and very difficult to make them on the road. And then their other home games are going to be against teams like Tigres and America, who are playing much better. Tigres not so much, but they still have, you know, they're still a stronger team. So yeah, Chivas is not in a good place right now, and you have Almeida saying that he needs help with the team. So there's a bit of news there, because it seems like he might have won the what is it called, tug of war against Higuera for Vergara's affection, you know, because now he's talking about they're gonna hire a GM, taking over a lot of the stuff that Higuera was doing at the club, even though he wasn't the GM, he was fulfilling those duties. So that's what they've been. He was talking about bringing in someone to help him manage the team.
So Almeida's still fighting. It seemed to me like he gave up a while ago. Like he was like, okay, I'm done. I'm not getting my players. We're gonna go out and try, but we're pretty much not gonna do well.
Yeah, that
He
was.
sound,
Well, I think that was part of it. I think he had to. Higuera and Almeida had to work together to, to plan for the season, and they just weren't getting along. Communication had broken, and that's why we ended up, or Chivas ended up, you know, with the whole Alanis deal, where it was like it just became a mess, and we all seen the player got called up to the national team, and he hasn't even played a game for Chivas.
yeah, and that's good. And that's not Almeida's decision to put him on the bench.
Yeah, so
Correct.
so I think at this point they're trying to salvage the season, but he just made some comments yesterday as well that he said that because Chivas is competing for the Conca Champions, and he basically admitted that they can't compete for both tournaments, so we're gonna have to choose. And to me, I think it would be the best choice to go after the Conca Champions. I just because this team, despite the talent it has, is not as deep as some of the stronger teams.
You better be careful because, well, I guess the biggest embarrassment can be had in Conca Champions. Like if they miss Liguilla, that would be like okay, well, they had a bad season. But if they lose to like a Shelahu
Oh,
or something like that in Conca Champions, that's going to be even more embarrassing than whatever thing could happen in LigaMX. So yeah, he better
that's
put his.
true. That could happen, but I still think it's more. If you ask me, which odds are better at winning the tournament, Liga MX or Conca Champions? I would say Conca Champions.
Yeah.
Now, I did hear Joel on the radio today as I was driving down to Houston that Higuera's influence is being felt less and less with each passing day there at Chivas, and I'm starting to see. I guess we'll definitely notice if that's the case. If we start seeing some of these players come back, I mean, honestly, the fact that Alanis is not playing yet is, I mean, that to me is just the worst, most embarrassing, painful, egregious, awful, whatever other negative adjective I can come up with to describe the worst aspects of the Pacto de Caballeros, in my opinion. So hopefully, that will be settled soon. But Chivas to me is a team that they had one bad loss when they lost to Cruz Azul, but their other losses, they did lose to Puebla 2-0 last week. But Puebla's been playing well at home. The Tigres had a tough time there as well. So I don't think, as much as Chivas fans, and like you said, it's one extreme or the other. I do think that if they can get to the end of February with, if they can pocket 7 points or so within these next games, they'll be just fine. But I have a feeling, Joel, though, that you are not going to be as optimistic in how you see Chivas playing out the rest of the season.
No, I haven't been, John.
A partial person like me.
Just because I think that the squad there's not much depth. You have injuries, you have call-ups. There's 2 games coming up in March. I don't know how many players will get called up, but there will be 2 games on the 23rd and 27th. The selección will play, and then soon after the Conca Champions, So
right.
So,
and the Conca Champions starts in 2 weeks. Actually, it starts in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and if I'm Chivas, that's the tournament I would aim for, just because they haven't had international presence for a while, and I think it'll be a big deal if they can make it to the FIFA Clubs World Cup.
It would be massive for Chivas, and their first game, if I'm not mistaken, is against a Dominican side.
Yeah,
that the Dominican Republic. Well, I think that the Chivas fans are probably happy that the Dominican team that's right now in Guadalajara is playing baseball in the city as opposed to the one that they're going to be playing. But so in essence, they have, I don't want to say a free pass in the quarterfinals, but their quarterfinal berth is all but secured, and then that's when that tournament's going to start getting interesting for the LigaMX sides as well as for the MLS side. So we'll see how that plans out. But you're right. But Joel, and I said this, I don't know how, a 3-game winning streak can change your fortunes around completely in LigaMX. You can go from 16th to 4th in 1 month in LigaMX.
I agree, John. But Chivas' calendar is not. It just doesn't lend itself to that. Look.
Well, the team and not only that,
let me give you a quick rundown, John.
Please.
So they're playing Santos, right? They're playing Santos on the 10th, and I expect a pretty tough game, just because right here Chivas has to. They're the ones that need the points, And then they go. Wait. It's gonna get tough. Well, they go on the road to Querétaro and they beat Pachuca. So that, I think that's not that tough. But here's where it gets difficult. Jornada 9, they go to Seúl, and then they return home to host America. And then they
a tough stretch for Chivas. So
the whole league is a tough stretch. They lost at Puebla 2-0. Every game is a tough stretch for Chivas, dude.
Well, but the reality is that Chivas has enough talent, and apparently they have a good enough coaching skills for them to overcome that.
But yeah, that's true. But some of these guys haven't been doing too good,
What's up with the defense, man? Every time I see a lineup, everyone complains about the defense, and then the defense is pretty.
Well, it's because Alanis isn't playing, and neither is Jair Pereira, who's been injured. So they're throwing out some warm bodies out there and hoping that those guys can make it happen. Now Santos, on the other hand, has been just terrific in the start of the league. They have distanced themselves very nicely from the relegation zone. They are sitting very comfortable. They have, if I'm not mistaken, Dan, the leading goal scorer right now in LigaMX in Gianni, who might very well be playing himself onto Portugal's World Cup squad.
Is that really is that being talked about?
I don't know how it couldn't be being talked about. I mean, he's having a terrific start of the season. I mean, it's not like Portugal has forwards falling out of the trees. So I'm sure that he's meriting some consideration. And even if he isn't, you should start a campaign to make sure that he at least gets a look.
No, that's cool. I hadn't realized that he was even on the radar. But yeah, he is definitely having a really, really good season, bounce back season. The whole team's doing a lot better than last year, than last season. I think this is a huge opportunity for Santos to pick up 3 points on the road.
Dan, would you attribute? Would you attribute Santos' success to the de-Chepofication in la Comarca Lagunera?
Low blow.
What's different is the question. What's different? The team is basically the same. I mean, obviously, there's been 2 huge additions. Truth be told, Gaito, I think, has been huge. But no, in all seriousness, I think as good as Chepo is, it wasn't working. I think maybe had he been given more time, maybe he could have turned it around. But I think with relegation starting to rear its ugly head, they went they went in another direction. And I think it's working out right now. The team's playing infinitely better right now. I mean, there was not the best of week. so far. You know
I'll say
but
they're playing all right, man. Just check
what's
it out.
that?
They're playing all right. Look, they're 2 wins. They've only won two times against Lobos WAP and Morelia. I mean,
Hey, Morelia's in 4th place, so I wouldn't knock Morelia at all.
yeah.
Morelia's a good team.
I think Morelia is a very good team. Definitely, I think it's a
They
Liguilla
lose
team.
the Tigres. They lose to Veracruz, or they
They
tie
lost,
in the
they
last
lost
two
to
ties.
Tigres.
So yeah, I mean they're doing okay. I wouldn't say
Yeah,
they're
they're doing okay. It's not but I think starting 11 can keep up with anybody. And so I think that's going to be the key is to get into the playoffs and hopefully have all your players because it's not a deep team. The team when gosh um, well, I don't know why Osvaldito he was down for parts of the last season, and I think the team. I think if there's, it turns out I think he's probably one of the most important pieces. And now Gaito, I think he's kind of slowly taking that role too. Where if the midfield is solid, I think they're going to be giving some decent chances. And right now, the way even Furch, the forwards look solid. So that's what I'm saying. Like I think they could beat anybody. The key is are they going to be able to get into the Liga? And if they can stay injury free, then yeah, I think they can go far.
And let's not forget that as the season wears on and it starts getting hotter, playing at 6 o'clock in Torreon on Sunday afternoon is not fun for anybody. And Santos can certainly take advantage of that as a home field advantage, just like Pumas apparently took advantage of it against a Tigres team over the weekend. That frankly, I mean, honestly, watching the game, Pumas. I don't know if you could agree with me, Chiquis. I don't know if you watched the game, but Pumas should have won that game 5-6-0. I mean, it was as thorough a domination as I've seen of a Tigres team in probably about 4 or 5 years. I mean, they flat out and Tigres. I don't know how much of it was Pumas playing well, which they are playing well, but Tigres just for whatever reason just did not want to play that game, and I think even and I'm quoting uh, our Frenchman Andre Pierre Gignac when he was quoted as saying earlier in the week, "La altura me molesta un chingo," is what he said. So it was obviously in his head, the altitude playing in Mexico City, and of course, who can forget playing in that scorching 68-degree heat in the mid-afternoon sun there in Mexico City. It's like
Well, yeah,
players. I saw
Geniac's
a natural bead of sweat
Geniac's
roll
a
off
big boy though,
someone's
man.
brow.
he's a little soft, man. He's a
He's a little
little
thick.
softy.
Yeah.
He's weak.
Did he turn into a Fresita Regio already, Gignac?
No, he turned into a Frenchman. A Frenchie.
Oh, wow.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So Puma. Talk about a turnaround. Pumas last season in the entire season had 13 points. 13 points.
So is this really Pumas? Is this really how good they are, or is this
Well, I think it's
a lot of
actually.
things working out?
Well, they got a lot of players back from injury that, and they also solidified their defense tremendously with this Spaniard Arribas Divo, who has made a massive difference in the back. And and two guys that I think have also contributed tremendously are David Cabrera, who, as you guys know, was on the fast track to the national team before he was injured in the Preolímpico in 2012. Just having an outstanding Preolímpico tournament before he popped his knee. And Pablo Barrera is also back as well. So, and of course Castillo, their striker, who had a terrible game, by the way, and that to me was very encouraging as a Pumas fan for Castillo to have as bad a game as he had, and he had a bad game. I mean, he missed some opportunities. There was a terrible penalty on him that the referee was watching, but he certainly was watching the game. But Pumas still won the game 2-0. And so that is very encouraging for Pumas fans And to me, Liguilla, as a Pumas fan right now, Liguilla is it would be icing on the cake. The most important thing for Pumas right now is to accumulate as many points as possible, because if they can get above 25 points by the end of the season, then I don't necessarily think that the specter of relegation will be haunting them as much next season as if they got another season where they were in the teens, and there would be a major problem. But they still have seasons of 13 and 18 points that they're going to have to deal with over the next couple of years. So, and let's give credit to David Patiño, who came in and with the same players has Pumas playing with confidence, and playing more to their style, and he's doing it the Pumas way, which is a combination of veterans and kids from the ranks, and that has always been the best combination for Pumas to have success. See, if I had my audio drops right now, I'd drop Ron Burgundy saying, "Don't tell me you're not impressed right now, or don't act like you're not impressed," because they've been they're top of the table, more than a month into the season. So it's no longer a happenstance. It is Pumas is trending up by Pumas. So
As far as Tigres goes, though, I think they're they have their formula. I think if you're a LigaMX team, you just want to play them early. Play them early while they're sleepwalking through where they're just walking through and then slowly getting themselves into game shape.
Right. They'll qualify for the Liguilla in 7th or 8th place like they did last season, and then just steamroll people until they get to the final.
And I think with a team that's somewhat dependent on slightly older stars, they you want to save their legs. Maybe that's what he also maybe that's what they were thinking too. Probably told the boys, it's okay if we take it easy today, guys. Let's just give my ex-boys a good time.
That's right.
Because I think if he's going to lay down for anybody, if he's going to lay down any particular week, I mean, why not do it against Pumas, right?
There was no lane. Hey, why would you talk about Tuca like that, Dave?
I'm just saying that if he did, if you're going to have a letdown, it's probably a little bit less painful, because he's, his heart's there.
Yeah,
the cats get along, man. The cats get along. Even after the game, they were joking around. I don't know if you saw the audio of Dueñas, Aquino, and Gallardo's talking. They're just having a good old time, like a party in between the whole team.
Yeah, see, they don't mind dropping 3 points. I mean, they're okay with it. They'll probably be lifting the trophy at the end of the season.
Pumas and Tigres did not. I mean, they did not get along at all. At all. It was a big rivalry back then.
Well, they have a common guy to make fun of in Juan Carlos Osorio, so that's what they were doing after the game, apparently.
Now in that game, Aquino did leave injured. He had a hamstring strain, and I'm sure that was due to the fact that he had a little extra time in the midweek friendly, which Chiquis and I were lucky enough to attend. And by the way, Chiquis, look at your pictures again. Outstanding work again. Once again, outstanding.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
What I don't get though is why is it that the photographers on the field, like, is it just a matter of proximity to the food? Is that why you guys get the lesser of the meals? It seems like you don't get the hot meal because of where you're located.
I think it's like the blue collar, white collar difference. We can be in jeans and.
Honestly, Chiquis, your meal, your sandwich looked better than the nasty rubber chicken and I say potatoes with air quotes that I had upstairs in the press box. So
that's nice of you, John.
But at least it was like I mean it's not like they're giving you prison sandwiches.
Now, did you guys drive out together
in the photo workroom?
Oh,
no, we did not. It takes me an hour to get to Chiquis' location. So and from where I live in Austin, and San Antonio is actually west of Austin. It's actually easier for me to go different, like not even go down the main highway at all. So
Did any of you
I take
guys
the back roads.
rub elbows with some of the other guys that went to the game?
Oh yeah, no, Chiquis was there in the mixed zone with Mr. Marshall and Weasel and Arch and John Arnold and the whole gang was there. At least the ones that could attend the game or paid to attend the game. The ones that could attend.
El Chiquis codeándose con los grandes.
Yeah, the one guy I missed was Jason Marquitz, man. I didn't know he was there until I saw pictures of him.
Marquitos was there?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
I even saw Sergio from Pancho Villa's army. He got on the field access.
Friend of the show, Sergio.
Yeah.
Man,
it's funny about
everyone
Sergio.
turned out for the Molero.
Well, it's because it was in San Antonio, so it was it's easy for the Texans to go to San Antonio. But I did know, and I pointed out to Sergio on the official some press release about the schedule of events for the game that his little get together the night before at that wrestling themed bar El Luchador was on that schedule of events. He had no idea. He had no idea that was on there.
Oh, wow.
And I was wondering, well, how is it that he didn't have an idea? And then it dawned on me that beer Estrella Jalisco is now a sponsor of the Mexico U.S. tour, and they were sponsoring that event. So that's how they managed to get on the schedule of events there.
Oh, that's cool.
For the big game down in San Antonio.
Well, good. It sounds like you guys had a good time. And Joel, I mean, Moleros is all we got, dude. I mean,
well,
we
no,
got a Copa America, but it didn't work out.
No, I understand, but this, I think one thing we could take from the Moleros, how much people are willing to pay to go see a game like that, and I think it's had its effect in
it's funny you mentioned that, Joel, because the stadium seats 63,000. If there were 25,000 people there, I would have been shocked.
Yeah, attendance was low.
I know, but the other team was
what? 25,000 people.
Under 23 team, though. To play an under 23 team's not bad.
It was an under 21 team.
Oh, there. To my point.
And more to your point, that same team played the U.S. in Carson, and I think it drew like 3,000 or 4,000.
Yeah.
I think that's generous, John.
That's
I don't know. The shot that I saw looked like a closed door practice session.
But I mean that match.
Yeah, it was pretty rough.
You're pretty much the Pumas, kid. No sirven para nada. If they're trying to give you a ticket to go see that game, just elimination's too fresh to want to go.
Well, yeah. I mean, I get to see. I mean, you definitely understand it. I mean, the team's not the competition's not going to bring in anybody. Too many people to the game just to watch it, and then the current version of the U.S. team is
exactly
oof. Like and to know that it's completely, I wouldn't say pointless, but I mean it's got to be like just painful to watch at this point. Like, yeah, like I mean. I remember when Mexico was like ever so briefly eliminated, for minutes. Just thinking like, I'm not gonna watch soccer for months, if not like a good. I might just take a whole year off of this freaking sport.
I've done that before. I don't blame you. It took me about 3 years to recover from Chivas losing the Libertadores final. I was gonna have bragging rights for like.
Forever.
So many years, man. Yeah.
And I guess it's different. Like I guess the pain is the same, like at the same magnitude. It hurts the same, but just like the shame. Like I'm just like, ugh, gosh. Like I don't need like. like just everything, just dreading everything. And soccer, just take up a good chunk of my free time.
It's still,
Um, and it's
yeah.
like, man, what am I gonna do? What the hell am I gonna do with my time?
It's like
Like I'm gonna have to start really reading books now.
start reading books and talking to your wife and taking your kids and doing stuff.
Paying attention to my children.
but I still think 25K, and for the what they pay for tickets, what people pay for tickets, a lot of times upwards of 150. That's a lot of money, and you look at like LigaMX and you see Lobos go up, and they can't even do 5K, and tickets are like $5.
Yeah,
So
Lobos
then
WAP is major problems right now. But go ahead, Hold.
yeah, man. I mean, that
But this
Atletico San
particular
Luis should
friendly,
just buy
Joel,
them.
this
Yeah.
particular friendly though did have a fair amount of intrigue. You had the whole controversy with the MLSers that really kind of, to a large degree, I mean, that was probably like the headline, and then the other headline was Jonathan Gonzalez getting called up. So from that standpoint, like, yeah, I mean, I remember like eons ago going to what is it? I think it was Iceland or something, or maybe New Zealand at the Rose Bowl. Um, and most of us were there because we wanted to check out Jonathan dos Santos. Like sometimes even just one player or a handful of players is enough intrigue to go check out the game.
And he played well in that game.
No, but see, the point I'm getting at is leading into why we're hearing this stuff now about Liga MX wants to do away with promotion relegation, which they announced recently about.
Now, Joel, it was just brought up. It's just a topic on the agenda. They're not, the licenciado Bonilla, came up to New York and talked to the MLS folks, and they're just banting around some ideas as far
They
as
had broached that topic last year, John.
They
had
broached
already,
the topic
yeah,
every year.
yeah.
I
No,
just,
but the
I mean,
MLS one.
It's obviously an understatement, but to say that I hope that doesn't happen, I mean, I really hope it doesn't happen.
I wouldn't mind if it does, Dan.
I don't know, man.
We did put a. Go ahead, boys.
I just hate the idea of it. I really genuinely hate the idea of it. I enjoy the relegation battle. I find it interesting. I find it fun. I like if there's a game on with those kind of implications. And otherwise, why would I want to watch Veracruz play? There's a certain amount of attractiveness to the game of just knowing what's on the line. Yeah, I'll tune in to want to watch that. But if I know that they're gonna just suck, and there's actually gonna be like no, granted maybe Veracruz is a bad example because there's very little repercussions for them being relegated because they buy themselves back in. But still, like the point remains, it makes it makes a lot of these matches they went from only kind of important because like we said it's relatively easy to get into the Liga, but it takes it to a whole other level of meaningless.
Well, when's the last time we saw a truly important team get relegated?
Well, but again, like that's not, to me, that's not something that I think it makes it more interesting, sure, because one of the big ones but just the relegation itself, the fact that these teams, it's important to them, it's important to the fans. Yeah, to me,
no longer Necaxa, but by the time they got relegated, they were in Aguascalientes. Their fan base was gone.
Atlante.
Same. Those were historic teams, and they just lost their fan base.
River Plate.
Just
went to Cancun, and there was a protest in Mexico City to demand that Atlante stay in the city, and I think like 5 people showed up.
Yeah, see, that's messed up, man. But Atlante is one of the historic teams, and and I guess they mismanaged. And that's more to the point I'm trying to make, because I see what the league wants to do, where they want to like kind of rebrand and repackage it, and it's hard to do when you have teams like you had Chapas who had to be disaffiliated because they owed so much money to their players, and you have Lobos Buap who couldn't even get a TV deal. They played like what 5-6 match days without any television. Very small stadium, and the majority of teams are like that, like in that same situation. The majority of second division teams, and some of
See,
the
that being Joel, I'll let you finish your point, and I'll jump.
yeah, and with first division teams, you see a lot of the same as well, with having all type of money problems, and one of the thing is that hurts LigaMX is that the clubs don't make that much money off of the gate, and they see that they could, but I guess people aren't willing to pay that much unless it comes to like Liguilla. So I do feel it's like a lot of it is with like branding and marketing, and I think we've seen it recently with like, I don't know if you guys remember, Pumas was doing some Chihuahua jerseys, and those things were selling out, man. And they'll come in a box and everything. You even had people making YouTube videos unboxing the jersey, and they're paying like what, over 150 for, jersey that used to cost $50.
It's funny you mentioned that, Joel. When I used to do when we had the Longhorn Radio and we were on ESPN Radio in Austin, we had a show called Tardes Deportivas in Austin. It was for a couple hours every day, and we were giving away a Chivas. It was a Clásico. We were giving away a Chivas shirt and an America shirt. The America shirt cost like $90, authentic, an authentic replica shirt. The Chivas one cost like $45. It cracked me up. But
yep.
Here's where I think that where LigaMX to me, I think is just to me that they don't have any kind of unified, I guess, a Premier League in a sense. Okay, so each team negotiates their television contracts not just with Mexican providers, but also with American providers individually. That to me is crazy. There's no reason why Lobos Buap, when they come in, when a team is promoted, they should be guaranteed, okay, you're going to get this much money in your TV contract at a minimum, regardless of who it is. You're going to get this much. Boom, here it is. Right? But that doesn't happen. I mean, so unless you're a team like a Necaxa, or I guess even with Atlanta, when they come back, they might have a little bit more to have a little bit more to spend, having a little bit more financial backing than others. They're going to be up against it right off the bat. I mean, I know that Lobos Buap had a good first season. They had 23 points. They have 1.5 games. So that cushion that they had, where as long as if there's going to be 34 games that they play, as long as they combined to have 35 points, between 35 to 38 points, let's say, in the two seasons, they're going to stay up no matter what, because their coefficient's always going to be higher than the ones that fall. But if they hover around that, from 33 to 35, they're dead. And right now, as it stands, they had 23 in the last one, so they needed to get 11 points. They have 12 games now to get 10 points. I don't know how they're going to do it. So
I don't mind like what.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was just gonna say I don't mind what Joel was saying about all these like low budget teams coming in, or these unknown teams with small stadiums or small fan bases. I don't care if someone is not playing good enough. If a Cruz Azul is playing really bad and they get relegated, and that's tough on them. That's too bad for them. Or if some low budget team gets promoted, that's good for them. And if the league suffers, that's the way it is. So if Pro Rail goes away, to me, it's just a whole sign of corruption. Cruz Azul goes down and they somehow figure out a way to get promoted back up. That's corruption going down.
Well, that's because a lot of times the teams, the owners, they're willing to sell because they know that they're not going to have enough money to stay afloat. So a lot of times those teams they'll sell the franchise because they'll make some money. That's also the teams for the most part lose money. They don't really make all this money like we like to believe. A lot of these teams are just trying to find a way to stay afloat.
Which is one of the reasons why some of these teams have 30,000 jersey sponsors on their uniform.
Yeah, and I'm gonna keep saying it. Look at the owners. Look at how many times the clubs has changed owners. Even with Santos, how they went to Grupo Modelo, and then someone else got them, and then I think they went back to Grupo Modelo. I'm not sure where they're at now, and that's pretty much all of the teams. Chivas Vergara just got them in 02. Atlas just a year ago or two, they went to Televisa along with Morelia. So the majority of those teams, they've been switching owners for a long time. And those guys were making profit. There's we wouldn't see that many changes.
It's true. I mean, how many different owners has Veracruz had over the past 15 to 20 years? and then the team gets relegated. And I mean, I've seen it. I mean, I've started really paying attention again to LigaMX, probably starting around 2003, 2004. I think Veracruz has been relegated twice. In neither occasion, Joel, did they win their way back into the league. They bought their way back.
But and in Pachuca's the recent one that they have that scandal now, and what was a big help to them was the whole, what was it, cutbacks they were getting from the government. They were getting all this land and all this other stuff. That without that, who knows how far Pachuca would have gotten to? Because before that, they got relegated a handful of times.
Tranzas no avanzas.
It's not always so much tranza, man.
It's not sports related, man.
There is some, but it's not.
Well, Pachuca deserved a spot. Pachuca did what they had to do to get what they needed.
Look at Leon when they came back.
Well, that's due to their owner too. Like owners like Vergara and Martinez are good because they have the money and they see it as a business, but they also love the team, they love the product, they love the sport. That's what other owners probably don't. It's just a business to them, so they'll sell, or if they descend and stuff, they'll just give up.
So at what point did LigaMX owners stop emulating or what the Argentine league did, and now is starting to realize maybe MLS should be the league that we should copy? When did that change? Because the reason they have the 2-season seasons is because Argentina does that, so LigaMX does that. Their promotion coefficient, where they average the points over the previous 3 seasons, that started in Argentina. So now Mexico did that as well. I mean, they even brought the Barras Bravas from Argentina. So the songs they sing. I mean, half the foreigners in LigaMX are from Argentina. So at what point did the owner say, maybe the league that we should start emulating as far as the administration and how we go about our business? What changed for them?
Maradona. Argentina is just the model to follow in all things. They're soccer power. Even when River Plate descended, their Tano Pazman was the example for all these Lady Aguila, Lady Cementera, Lady whoever crying on the other teams losing and stuff. That's another thing that's great about the Censo is the potential for some dude being filmed crying about Cruz Azul being relegated.
I think what I think.
Right though. Go ahead, Juan. Go ahead.
No, you said Dan is right on.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, please go on.
Not that he can't be. I'm just interested. What?
No, the relegation battle is so much more exciting.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
What happens at the top of the league? I mean, it's just. I mean, especially. I mean, and Dan and I, we experienced it 10 years ago ourselves because, because Pumas and Santos were in the thick of it, and then they had the Querétaro was docked some points because they didn't field the guys from the 21 11 rule, or what, the 21-11 rule, and they were the ones that ended up getting relegated. And of course, another team that bought their way back.
Chivas as well, man. It got me into watching or paying more attention when Chivas hit that relegation zone.
They were the relegation
zone
very recently, yeah.
No, but see, yeah, I agree with that. But I think the league, it's been in the league's plan to do away with relegation, and I don't think it's do away with it completely. I just think they're trying to restructure the league, and they might take. I think, or they probably figured there's not going to be enough teams in second division that are going to be able to meet certain standards. But like I'll use like the German league, Bundesliga, in order to be a first division team, to be licensed, you need to meet all these requirements, and there'll be a lot of LigaMX teams that wouldn't be able to meet those requirements of stuff that you need to have, and I think that's part of it, where they at least want to have a stadium that is, adequate.
But does changing the format of the league really address those issues? Isn't it more of an issue with bad owners? I mean, I think what they should do is collectively just weed out the bad ones.
Well, yeah, well, that's how they weed them out. Because I think it's easier.
I think that anybody with a lot of money is automatically gonna be the right, because that's what it sounds like. I mean, what they want to do is make sure that that teams owners that have legit money, okay, but that doesn't necessarily make them good owners.
No, I know, but
or good management. So I don't know. I mean, that's why I don't. I'm a bit skeptical, and I do think that it may end up in the bottom line. I do think viewership will suffer if you get rid of relegation. I think they're underestimating how much some people may get turned off by it. I don't know. I'm not saying that. I definitely think some people will tune out.
Well, I mean, wasn't it 2 teams before, and then we just cut it down to 1?
You know what? Right. Give us something, because it adds that drama. It adds that drama, especially toward the end of the second season, where all that stuff is on the line. I remember last year. I know me and John, we were like glued to the tabla, because it was just intriguing. And all these matches
every week it was, somebody else fell down to the bottom. It was a race to the bottom, and every week it was like.
And it was only one spot, but it was about 5 teams that were involved. It seemed like it was Querétaro, Puebla, I think Veracruz, Chiapas. Yeah, I mean, it was just. When else would you be excited to watch those teams?
No, you're not. But at the same time, it's like they're not making money. So that's the.
Yeah, but they wouldn't be making money if they were winning either.
No, but if you brought in better clubs that can invest more and bring better players, that's where they feel they're going to end up ultimately making more money, be able to charge more at the gate.
Yeah,
can we agree that Veracruz is never going to be popular, though?
It's such a small part of their thing.
I think part of it, too,
that's just the reality.
Is the branding, and there's just nothing very sexy about Veracruz, unfortunately.
Now, I'm going to have to disagree with you there, Dan, because, I mean, first of all, I love the nickname. Their crest is outstanding. They have a great nickname. Their mascot is scary as hell. Debu, or whatever hell his name is. He looks like if a shark could ever be the it clown, it would be Debu, or whatever.
Is it left shark or right shark?
Well, he's definitely I don't know. I don't know which one's which. But no, he and then on top of everything else, like their numbering and font motif is also has a shark theme as well.
Their stadium name is also really good.
Luis Pirata Fuente.
Yeah.
And remember, Marquitos told us that like you can go there and the tickets are cheap and the drinks are even cheaper.
That's right there, John. That's like a hole in the wall bar, where you buy a Pabst and a shot for $5.
Exactly.
And they wanna get rid of that, and they wanna put in the hipster bar that only serves mixed drinks from mixologists, and they can charge you $12.
The Freedom Bar that they have in the Estadio Azteca.
But that's a tremendous fan base, though. Even if it is truly for that reason, that's even during the Tigres game when Tuca went crazy. The stadium was full. There's fans all over the place going crazy.
That stadium is full every week.
So yeah, they got a good fan base there.
Yeah, they have Atlas. As much as we like making fun of Atlas, I watched the Atlas game. They beat Cruz Azul last Friday night. Their atmosphere there is frankly it's outstanding. It is 1,000 times better than anything that happens at Chivas. Which is such a and guess who has the most expensive tickets in LigaMX?
I would guess
Chivas.
either. Oh.
Yeah, it's Chivas, and Chivas, the most popular team in Mexico, has a 40,000 something stadium and is maybe half full every week.
I'm not sure if you guys caught any of the Mexican soccer show, but Tom had mentioned that Atlas is like or has the potential of being like the hipster club. I think he kind of maybe misspoke, but I think there's a punk rock element to Atlas, especially the fan base. Maybe not hipster, but definitely punk rock.
I think misogynist.
Where it's a bit hardcore.
Wait, I used the wrong word.
They're like the metal band. The metal band fans.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I was thinking more like kind of like Black Flag and just like just hardcore punk, but no, I those clubs. I mean, even that element though, even like it's so frowned upon now. So it's kind of I do kind of agreed with them where I do see that potential of them kind of growing it a bit more, but it needs to show up on the football field too. But
yeah, exactly. Atlas will find a way to screw it up.
Because I know I know a lot of people like to make fun of them. I don't know. I have a bit of a soft spot for them.
Damn.
I'd like to see them do well. Maybe
You're willing to admit that on the show, dude?
What's that?
You're willing to admit that on the show?
I said misogynist. I meant masochist. They're masochists. A lot of them, man.
That's sort of hipster of them, though. You gotta go after.
I could be a bit of a contrarian sometimes.
That if Morrissey was a LigaMX fan,
he'd
be a rojinegro.
Yeah, pretty much, dude. I think he's moping around all the time.
Okay. All right, so here's my question to y'all, and I'll let y'all answer. Okay, so what would you do, Joel, to fix promotion relegation?
I do think it's broken just because there's no. You need to do something to incentivize second division teams.
Agreed.
So I think ultimately it's going to come down to TV deals. So you have to find a way to help these teams be profitable. So I think having like a better Copa MX, like a better tournament, like the one we've discussed before.
But you also have to incentivize the prize more as well, too.
Yeah, I know it had to come from the league, so that a lot of these teams they could build their fan base, because a lot of those teams don't really have strong fan base. Lobos being a good example.
Chiquis, what would you do if you think it needs improvement? How would you improve it?
I'm not really sure. I mean, I enjoy the way it currently is, and I understand Joel's talking about the money and the finances of owners selling and teams not being able to make a profit. But I enjoy, like Dan was saying, I enjoy the competition of getting out of relegation zone. I would enjoy it even more if like a Cruz Azul or a bigger team, maybe like I'll just say Cruz Azul or Toluca or somebody like big that would descend, and without corruption and without buying themselves back in the league, see the drama and all the heartache that would cause. But yeah, I mean, I don't have no. Joel has more knowledge on
All right.
that.
Dano, secret rojinegro, boy, that's you have just opened yourself up to a whole myriad of new nicknames, Dan. We're gonna have to work on that. But if you were commissioner for a day, how would you change pro rel? If you think you need to change it at all.
Mute.
Did we lose him?
Is Dano gone? If he's gone, I've got something from the Citadel, John.
Well, let me answer. Let me answer the question
I'm sorry.
first. Oh,
I was on mute.
There he's back.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I was on mute. I was yapping along. Sorry about that. No, I was saying that there's a number of things that they can try to do to address it or to try to tweak it a bit. If I were commissioner, if it were up to me, I'd get rid of the porcentaje. I don't like it. I like the idea of a terrible season really hurting. Now, realistically, that's not going to happen because they want to set up that protection for teams. But that would be one thing. I think other things too that I probably wouldn't mind seeing is maybe reducing the number of teams. Period. If you want a stronger division, stronger second division, maybe reduce some of the teams in first division.
That's great.
And also reduce the number of teams that make the Liga, because then it becomes even more of a joke if you get 8 teams and there's only like 14 teams or 15 teams or so, whatever there are. But those are a couple things that I probably wouldn't mind seeing.
So
not very viable.
All of y'all have very fantastic ideas. Even Chiqui's status quo is very, very reasonable. There are a couple of things I would do. First thing, Joel says I would make it not just one team. I'd make 2 teams. I'd make 2 teams. Well, I'd make one. I'd make the last place team relegate for sure, and then the second to last place team, I would have them in a playoff with the second place team of the Ascenso. So even if you're second to last, there's no guarantee that you're going to descend or not. So that would be the first thing I would do. So that way would give. I also do believe, as Joel says, that you have to incentivize second division, and it's not just incentivize second division, but you have to incentivize the prize for first division. And a lot of that, and again, I harken back to television contract. You know, how big is it for teams like what is it in the Premier League? Jean-Luc Picard, is it Huddersfield, or teams like Brighton, Hove, and Albion, teams like that would have no business ever being in a Premier League, but because of the fact that they get this gigantic piece of a TV contract, that they have a very realistic chance of staying in for 3 or 4 years or whatever it is. And then teams like Newcastle and this and that do descend, that they have the ability to get back. I do think that they actually have to add more teams to the Ascenso, and I also the Ascenso rather, and I also believe that they have to have, say, 16 teams in the Ascenso, and then have 8 teams that are like minor league, like what was Chivas's B team called, Joel? That was in
Tapatio.
The Tapatio, and like Pumas had Pumas Morelos, and Cruz Azul Hidalgo, and America had their B. I think that just like there's like Barcelona B and Castillo and the Real Madrid's B team that play in the Ascenso, but can never get promoted. They should have that same thing in Mexico, or they used to have that same thing in Mexico. So there are very viable things. But to me, the biggest thing for Mexico to do is they have to consolidate themselves as a quote unquote Premier League, where they aggregate the contracts, the TV contracts, and share it evenly, so that everyone has an equal piece of the pie.
Is that where the bulk of the money is? Is in the TV contract?
Oh,
Yep.
absolutely.
Because I was gonna say just revenue sharing in general doesn't necessarily have to be only TV, but you got to give those teams coming up a bit of a bump in order to make them realistic contenders, I think. So yeah, to your point, I think that would be
Well, I mean, just at the very least,
that would be a must.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least,
Yeah.
competitive. I mean, I know that Lobos WAP had their 23-point season, and I get that, but I mean, sooner or later, no one knew. I mean, no one expected that to be sustainable. It just wasn't going to be. I mean, Universidad de Guadalajara, a team that, as Joel says, you have to have a strong fan base. They have a massive fan base in Guadalajara. I would actually consider it probably the second most popular team in Guadalajara, more so than Atlas. They do very well as a Ascenso team. They do very well in attendance, playing there at the Jalisco. So they can build a strong fan base. But when they came up a couple years ago, I mean, despite the fact they had a strong fan base, I mean, they just could not be competitive. They couldn't be competitive. And then they got oh no, I'm sorry, it was Dorados. They got saddled with all those awful Chivas players. A bunch of cartuchos quemados.
Oh man.
They couldn't get over. No, so I mean, Dorado, another team that has a solid fan base, a decent stadium. I think a team like Alebrijes in Oaxaca has a brand new stadium. Zacatepec has a brand new stadium. So, they are making the investment.
What's Alebrije? Is that dragon? Is that a dragon?
I'm not sure.
I thought it was a fish.
Okay.
No, a bird, like
I thought it was.
It's a hummingbird. It's not like a hummingbird.
Is that what that is? Okay. All right. I'm just guessing. I don't know what the word means. Okay. Carry on. Sorry.
Google.
Anyway,
Google.
so that's what I would.
Yeah, that's Google, man. Ah, it is a dragon.
Is it a dragon or dragonfly?
It's a mythical creature. Yeah.
The folk art sculpture, like dragon type of thing.
Oh, so it's like a jayhawk.
I think I was confusing it with colibri. But colibri was the hummingbird, or like the little bird.
Right. I mean, that's another example. I mean, there's no reason why Cuernavaca can't have a team. They had a team before.
Celaya had a team too.
Tampico.
Celaya won a title.
That's Ronnie's favorite.
Ronnie's.
Did
Celaya
they?
won a title.
I know they got to the final, but they lost to Necaxa.
They had Butragueño and Hugo Sanchez. They had them both.
Yeah. They didn't win though.
What was that?
And they had Sanchez.
Didn't they have that? What was that Juarez team too? That they did well for a minute.
Indios, but they had to change their name because it was culturally insensitive.
Ah, is that what that was?
No, it's messy. Nah, they were in
I thought
Juarez.
they were just like
They were in a very violent area. Just to get to the stadium was the reason. They
had some Colombian players that it's too violent to live in Ciudad Juarez, so they went back to Medellin.
Man, that sucks, man. Just because I think that like a city like that should have a football team.
Yeah.
Well,
I know they do. I know they do. But they're. I guess my point is that I like seeing a city like that have a first division team.
They even had a player that had street cred that made the first division team. I don't know if you guys remember him, Maleno or something.
I'm still waiting for Alacranes to make the jump.
And we have the perfect example of a team that was born in second division, that worked its way through, and then has done very well for himself when it got promoted, and that's Cholos, the Tijuana.
They're a great
they've
story,
only been
and
around for
that's a
15
team
years.
that would never, if you got rid of promotion relegation, a team like that would never make it. We'd never see a team like that. I mean, I hear you, and I think ultimately, if the owners really want to protect their own interests, then they may just roll the dice and F it, But
Well, see,
I
the
really
thing
hope it
that I
doesn't
find
happen.
really, really not, I don't want to say insensitive, but just to me, just kind of, what do you guys think in decision was when they said you have to have a minimum 25,000 seats stadium right after, the stadium in Oaxaca opens and the one in Zacatepec that are, I think they're right around 20. I forget what their capacity is. But I mean, and again, you look at leagues around the world, and yes, there are, everyone has, the Emirates, and Old Trafford, and Allianz Arena, and No Camp, and those, and they seat, tens of thousands of fans, and they do very well, and we get that. There's, Estadio Azteca, and go down the line. But for every Estadio Azteca, there's the really, there's the Craven Cottage, the real charming, 20, 25,000. There's nothing wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with having stadiums like that, teams like that.
La Bombonera, that's I mean, one of the most famous stadiums in the world, and
right,
it's not huge. I mean,
no,
you don't. I don't think you need that.
It's like a half a stadium.
I mean, part of me and misses the old Corona, just because it was just no one wanted to go there.
Right. It was a tough place to play.
It was a tiny stadium, but it was spilling every game without fail. I mean, you see empty seats now in the new stadium.
You can't miss them.
Yeah, but no, and that's one thing that you also like. At least I personally thought that there was like a certain element that it's more raw. I don't know, less sanitized.
It's raw.
I like it.
Yeah, it's not the it's not the homogenized stadiums that you see, like in the last World Cup. Stadiums are, it was the World Cup was in Brazil, right? And you see these stadiums. I mean, that stadium could have been anywhere in Europe, but you would never would have considered it being in Brazil at all. They just didn't look right. So yeah, I mean, I do like the fact that Mexico, even to this day, still has, the more. I mean, Zacatepec Stadium is beautiful. It's gorgeous. We need to have the director deportivo of Zacatepec on our show, Michel Richaud, who I accidentally said was on the show a few weeks ago. But he said, I had no idea it was on the show. Thank you. But and so he can give us, I don't want to get in trouble, obviously, but so we can get his, as a second division team, how he feels about all this, and hopefully he'll be willing to come on and talk to us about it, because I think it's a very interesting topic, and I think it's something we can certainly discuss moving forward.
I'm gonna share right now, just to close off the topic. So this was an interview from 2005, and it was from the former FMF president Alberto de la Torre. No relation to Chepo or Nestor or none of the Chihuahua guys. Completely different. Completely different, De La Torre. So he was talking, because they were already talking about converting. And back then, it used to be the Mexican League was known as the Primera A. So they were already talking about changing the name, and they wanted to call it Premier League, Mexican Premier League. And so what they wanted to do is 18 teams. We're all going to be the. Wait, man, I lost my place. So the 18 teams were going to be in the Premier League, but each team had to have a team in second division, which they used to before. But back then, so back we're talking about 2005, only 11 teams used to own a second division side. I think it's even less now. But their plan was for every team to have a side in second. So pretty much at that point, you could pretty much say farewell to relegation. You know, because if the team already owns the second division, if you got relegated, you just switch it off. But one of the important things was third division was they were gonna have less foreigners in second division and no foreigners in third division. So they had a big plan to like promote their own talent from third division all the way up to first, which I think that ended up changing. Their ideas changed later on, where it became let's just have more foreigners. So this is one of his quotes. He said, "Estos circuitos se convertirían en verdaderos surtidores de jugadores para la Liga Premier." So I think that group that was pushing for that had high hopes to develop more talent, and that just, I guess the clubs decided that's just not not to do it like that. They did do it differently because they created a under 15 team for and the youth team started doing well around the same time. This is in 05. This is around the time they won the under 17 World Cup. But even that was a bit of a, if you read that story, if you see how that whole thing happened with the under 15 winning, it was it wasn't the federation. It was like a mess, and just how it happened. But the one from 2011 was part of the project when the federation started being more serious, and the Olympics as well.
So it fell through. It did not plan. It got the way that they intended.
Yeah, exactly, and even the name, because Primera became LigaMX, and then which was going to be Primera B, became the Premier League, I think. No, it became what, Liga de Ascenso now?
Ascenso MX.
There you go. And then for the youth, what they did was they did the 2011 rule, and then they took it out. Now they're talking about bringing it back.
Well, don't forget that. Did you say this came out in 2005? This article?
Yes, September of 2005.
So there you go. So it was September 2005. So what happened right after September 2005 that changed the way people thought about what they should do?
John, come on, man. You're gonna sully that win.
I'm not sullying anything, but I'm just saying. What changed? What changed in the minds of the owners?
Well, they won the under 17.
That's right.
And that I'm gonna say it really quick. So what had happened back then was that FMF had hired Humberto Grondona, who was the son of and I confuse the names. What was the main dude from Argentina? Humberto Grondona. His son was Hugo Grondona. So FMF hired his son to do the youth teams. And just recently, his son was in charge of the Argentina teams. He's the one that turned them into a mess. Eckerman had them winning pretty much everything in every division, and Hugo came in, took a big dump, and they can't even qualify anymore. So this is the guy that we hired, to come into Mexico, and he was in charge of all the divisions, and he started doing pretty bad. But it was Emilio Azcárraga. He used to own Atlante, his cousins to the Televisa Azcárragas of America, and he's the dude that made the under 15 team, and he hired he hired what was his name, Chucho Ramirez, to work with that team. So it was funny because Hugo was kind of separate, you know. Rondona was in charge, but this dude kind of hired someone out of like his own pocket. And when Hugo got sacked, they just gave full control to Chucho Ramirez, and he's the one that ended up taking the team to Peru, where they eventually won. This long story short.
And Chucho Ramirez, of course.
Yeah, then he shit the bed.
Born and raised. No, born and raised.
He's part of the Atlanta school, right?
Excuse you.
Wait.
Chucho Ramirez is a Puma through and through.
He didn't, because Atlanta gave a lot of coaches. You know, a lot of coaches came out of the.
I'm sure that's true, boy. But Chucho Ramirez was a canterano from Pumas, played for them, coached for them. The whole bit. He was on the team with Hugo and Cuellar and Tuca, all those guys. He was part of that group, and Memo Vasquez.
Oh man!
And of course, Memo Vasquez's dad was one of Bora's assistants as well. So it's good players and coaches come out of Pumas. That's just the reality of Mexican soccer. One of the unflappable truths of Mexican soccer. It's just the way it is. So, gentlemen, next week we have Champions League that starts again. Real Madrid is playing PSG. Final avanzada, as far as I'm concerned. Does PSG win this tie? And if they don't, is their season a complete failure?
What was the first question?
Is PSG going to advance over Real Madrid? And if they don't, is their season a failure?
Especially with the talking that's already been starting a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, I think they're kind of putting unneeded pressure, because the pressure is all on Madrid. This is all they have. All they have to play for.
Pressure's always on Madrid.
And I think even more so now, because I mean they're much like Chivas, you know. Their league hopes are quickly vanishing. So they need to look at the other competition and just put all their efforts into that. And you know, it is a good time to play Madrid, just because, you know, you want to play them when they're down, and it seems like if they're going to do it, this is the season to do it.
I personally think Madrid's going to smoke them. That's just my personal opinion. I don't necessarily want that to happen. I mean, I like that Mbappe kid, but I know he's hurt. And I just think that Real Madrid, their entire reason for existing is to play and win the Champions League more than anything else. I think that Zidane is like, you know what, the league, whatever, the Copa Rey, whatever, but the Champions League, that is our tournament. I mean, they've won it 2 years in a row. They've won the thing 10 times or 11, whatever the number is, 11 times. It is their tournament. That is, you know, they are the papis of Champions League, and they always will be. So.
Well, you're a real Real Madrid fan then, eh?
Hugo.
I'm not a Real.
Pumas.
I'm not a Real Madrid.
Makes sense.
But I mean, the reality is that, I mean, Real Madrid owns that tournament. I mean, they might. I mean, they don't win it every year, And I know that they lost a couple times to Barcelona, last decade. But again, I'm not. I don't really. It's funny you mentioned because I remember Tom Marshall asked me once, "Well, what team do you follow in Europe?" It's like I don't really follow a team. I mean, that's just because I have a team. So why would I want to follow another one? I'm not a cambiagatos like Chiquis.
I felt like I was a Barca fan, but it all went away the moment Rafa stopped playing.
Right.
Yeah.
So whatever affection I had for the team, it was very superficial. And now I guess like
Go ahead.
I'll root for them if I'm watching them. Like I guess I'll want them to win, but invested not in the slightest.
Well, I will say this about Barcelona, and I don't know if you all feel the same way, but when they had Xavi and Iniesta, and even Ronaldinho for a time, and with Messi, and whoever, Biscuits and all those guys. I mean, they really were just an absolute joy to watch. I mean, they were just incredible. They were such a great team.
They had different versions of it too, like you said when you first mentioned when Ronaldinho was at his peak and Messi was just starting. They had Samuel Eto'o. They had a Deco. That was an amazing team. And then
I remember once I
Go
was
ahead.
in sorry, Dan, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's fine.
Which is West Country. It's a small town in Texas, and I'd done my work that I had to do, and they were playing Chelsea, and it was like, screw it, I'm not going to drive home. I'm going to go watch this game. I'll have a beer, and then I'll drive home. So I did that. TV, and the guy's like, really? The bartender's like, and all these old, I don't want to say hits, like really don't want to talk. By the end of it, they were completely riveted because Barcelona was just, they don't play, the brand of soccer that most Americans hate, where they fall down or injured,
Like the Simpsons episode.
And blah blah blah. Exactly. I mean, they were. I mean, it was beautiful, and they were just absolutely glued to the TV watching that because Chelsea was good. This was after Mourinho, so I mean, they were just totally riveted to the screen.
Was this the game when?
Yeah.
Was that the game when Ronaldinho clowned John Terry?
It may have been. Assist to Eto'o that ended up getting the game winner. It was just a beautiful cross that. I mean, Eto'o ran it and made it just. I mean, he
Did you say Rafa?
Perfect. Yeah, Rafa.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember the play specifically. It was he moved, he pushed forward, which was crazy. He's playing center back and he's moving up just outside the box and he crossed it to Eto'o. Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah,
I think wasn't that the same match where didn't Messi get I think Terry sent off or somebody?
Yes. Yeah, he did. Or yeah, he got somebody.
Yeah, so I'm trying to remember.
Messi was like 18.
But yeah, those were.
Yeah.
I could imagine how the neutral would get into something like that. That's the way you get into the sport. Watch a really good one like that.
Yeah, I mean, they really were. I mean, at least in this century, I don't think anybody would debate that. I mean, that Barcelona group from or whatever it was were just absolutely outstanding. Just what a great team. I mean, really, how lucky we were that we were able to witness that. I mean, they have certainly set the standard for the 21st century. Ooh, I just drove by a cop. I'm hoping I'm coming after. Ooh.
Keep your head on a swivel, man.
Ooh. Well, at least I'm not doing anything, questionable. So that's good.
Hands free.
Well, I'm definitely hands free.
I got pinched several weeks back.
Uh-oh.
For that.
Do you have time in the pokey?
You have to do time in county.
No,
nothing
to
change you, Dan.
Just a ticket, but I was pretty pissed off at myself. I'm like, come on, man! I'm always looking out for cops, and the dude just literally just rolls up right next to me and sees me holding my phone. I'm like, son of a. And yep, just right away he saw me.
We did
and he got me.
You got
Go
busted?
ahead. Yeah.
we did a game on the Rose Bowl, and this was just after California passed that law that you had to do hands-free. And one of the guys I worked with was trying to find the Rose Bowl. Couldn't find it. Gets pulled over. He's like on the phone, talking to somebody. How do I get to this place? The cop pulls him over, goes up to the window, taps on the window. The guy's on the phone, goes, "Give me a second." Telling the cop, just give me a second. I'm on the phone.
Yeah.
The cop did not like that.
Not good.
He
Make
did
them
not
wait.
like that at all. So that's a thing. Really, they'll pull you over in California for holding your phone in your hand.
Yes, it's a violation. It's a driving violation. No, actually, it doesn't actually count. So it's not technically a driving violation, but it is I guess technically against the law.
Ticketable offense.
Yes.
All right. So Santos Chivas, boys. Dan.
Easiest 3 points of the year for the season.
Wow.
No. No. I'd love to believe that. But no, I do think they're going to win.
Well, Chivas has made it very easy for teams to win at home, man. They've won what is it? Like 2 out of their last 10 or 11 home games.
Yeah, it's pretty poor, man. I was looking at the numbers since Almeida started, and it's pretty rare for the team to have lopsided victories. They only have like one 4-0 win, and ironically it was over Pumas. And that's like their biggest win at home, 4-0. And then there's a 3-2 against Cruz Azul. But the majority of wins are 1-0 or 2-1. And a lot of losses, even by the minimum. But Chivas, not a venue that I think inspires fear, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's just no atmosphere. There's no atmosphere. Half empty. I mean, again, I don't know how they do play the. I mean, how not as a fan, at least chant the ay part.
No, I think it's part of what you said, where I think they've they priced out a lot of fans, and they moved the stadium. You have to take it's just a bit further to get there, so
right.
It made it more
And
difficult
the
for even
parking is
other
supposed to be a
fans.
pain in the ass.
Yeah, so all of that has worked against Chivas, man. All of that stuff. They weren't, and they got so much land in that area because they were expecting kind of to blow up. So they had these plans going
Chivas
way
Center.
back to they were gonna have a museum and a shopping center and offices. They were gonna have all type of things right there, and it never got developed. It's just a stadium.
And it's.
So
See, how many times do we hear, at least with Mexican League teams, like their best laid plans, and like no one ever seems to really follow through with that stuff. They always talk big talk, and then nothing ever. It's like, whenever a player gets in trouble, and he never admits that he was in trouble, and he always say "un día saldrá la verdad," and then nothing ever. And that's like the last thing they'll ever say about it, and they never talk about it again. It just seems like that's what always happens with teams. That's why, they're talking about this, this relegation promotion thing. I don't think anything's ever going to come of that. I mean, I think they'll certainly talk about it, but I mean that means that someone's going to have to make tough decisions, and no one ever seems to really want to make those kind of tough decisions. It's definitely a pass the buck style of management. So, not very surprising. So, do they break the? Do they get off the Schneid, Joel? Are they going to finally get some points at home?
No, well, points. I'm expecting 1 point.
So you say draw. Dan says win. Santos. Okay. Now, Chiquis, our Pumas, they take on a plucky fourth place Morelia team in a stadium where Pumas has actually had a decent amount of success against Morelia. So, I mean, honestly, on the road, should we be happy with the draw, or should we just go ahead and go for the win?
Yeah, I underestimated the Morelia team, but they've been doing okay. So I think I'd be happy with the tie.
Yeah, I would too. Just keep it going. You know, Pumas hasn't lost with that. Pumas has 3 wins and 2 draws so far in the season. So let's keep that going. And you know, they got that big win against Tigres, one of the biggest wins they've had in a couple of years. So hopefully they can keep that train rolling, and then we'll see how things turn out. Things turn out next week, gentlemen. I think we should wrap it up here. I think that we've all said what we had to say. Talked a little promotion relegation. We kind of touched a little into the Chivas Crisis Center, but we didn't go full DEFCON 2. So, Coed, you're saying that the Chivas fan is Chivas always a DEFCON 3?
Kind of, yeah. Kind of hard. But sometimes it takes one win and then fans forget. I think we should not forget to mention Lando is set to debut this week.
With who does Leon play this week?
Let me see.
Does Landon play defense because Leon has been giving up goals? And I could make a cheap and easy joke about, but I won't. But they have given up 9 goals in the last 2 games. Welcome to LigaMX, Landon.
They and you know they're not that far off from they're tied in points to Tigres, but they play Puebla, so they host Puebla.
And is he gonna be a second half substitute? Do we think that
Puebla has lost all their away games?
So they're very consistent. They win all their home games, and they lose all their away games. Oh, they're Danny.
Yeah, so I mean,
your tip about keeping the head on a swivel has paid off. Thank you, sir. Just saw another one. Okay. So then we expect Leon to get to stop the bleeding then.
Yeah, probably second half sub.
What if Landon scores the big goal to
I know
get the victory?
I know he
instant idol there.
They already treated him like one. I don't know if you guys saw all the people that showed up to welcome him to the club. But
right. No, there was. You know, I'm sorry, but he's a big deal, and as much as fans don't want to admit that for whatever reason.
Yeah, it's a good team. If you could combine with some of the players they have there, like Montes, forget the Archie's name. Something with a B. Whatever.
Boselli. Mario
Boselli. Yeah, Boselli. You could link up with those dudes. I think, it could cause some damage here and there.
And of course, the big game of the weekend is Tigres America. It's going to be played in the Volcán. And America playing well. They're tied for first place with Monterrey and Pumas. Tigres, as we know, notorious slow starters. This to me is a recipe for disaster for America. I think Tigres wins this one, and they win it pretty handily. And to round out the schedule, there is Tijuana plays Querétaro. Tijuana has not given up a goal in 5 games. Unfortunately, they've only scored 3 goals in their other games, so They're not doing as well as one would think when they have such a solid defense. A defense so solid that they're saying that maybe Lahoud might get a sniff at the national team. I don't know how he's going to jump Ochoa, Corona, and Cota. So that's going to be tough for him. And Alfredo Talavera made his way back this week. So that's a good on Tala to get back on. And then on Saturday, we have Lobos Buap is hosting Atlas. Excuse me. And then we have, of course, the Tigres is hosting Necaxa, which at one point would have been so much. As Joel mentioned, León is playing Puebla, and then Guadalajara, Santos rounds out the Saturday action. Then on Sunday, Toluca hosts Monterrey, and Veracruz hosts Pachuca. Pachuca is playing some crazy games. They finally got their Japanese player Onda scoring a lot of goals. Unfortunately, they're giving up a lot of goals too.
Wait, does Honda score in Copa MX or in D?
No, he scored in league. He has 3 goals in the league so far.
Oh.
And speaking of goal scorers, I noticed, and I know it's early in the season, but there are, and I know the numbers sound small, but there are actually 3 Mexican players in the top 10 in scoring right now in LigaMX. Normally there's 1, maybe 2. And of course, Henry Martin got a hat trick last week against Lobos Buap for America. And as Joel so prophetically said in our first show of 2018, that he will be the surprise addition
Yes,
to Mexico's
thank you, George.
I'm going against that.
Russia squad. Oh, Chicky says no.
That guy's overrated. I'm going against him. He's gonna be left out. He's getting lucky. He'll be exposed for his true value in the coming games.
Well, you know, he has the qualities you want in a striker. He heads the ball well. He can shoot with either leg, and he's as good inside the area as he is outside the area. So that's, you know, Mexico doesn't have that many strikers like that. And the only other one I can think of is Jimenez. And frankly, Jimenez has played. I think Martin has played more minutes with America than Jimenez has played all season.
Well, in San Antonio, the striker that really was worth his weight was Loyola. He's the one that actually scored the goal.
No, Martin did have some chances, but you know, aside from the fact, I mean, he didn't miss like a major sit or anything like that. I mean, he did have a couple chances, but you know, I thought that he, you know, I mean, I didn't. Now he didn't go on a, you know, on a crazy run like Chicharito did when Chicharito was playing all those moleros before the World Cup, where Aguirre had no choice but to put him on the squad. So unfortunately, Martin will not have those extra moleros like Chicharito did to get him into that position. But I mean, I honestly believe if he keeps up the scoring pace, because of the fact that Mexico has so few Mexican forwards that play on a weekly basis, that he's going to play himself onto the squad, and he'll probably replace either Oribe or Jimenez. And at this point, I would probably say Jimenez, just because Jimenez hasn't gotten any action. And before we go, though, I do want to mention saying that Chicharito should not start Russia. That should not be Mexico's starting forward in Russia. And the gentleman that wrote it listed a lot of facts, a lot of stats that I you know, he was absolutely dead right on. But he missed one major point about Chicharito and his World Cup performances, I guess. And the major one is that he is only 1 goal away from being Mexico's all-time scorer in the World Cup. So he's got to be doing something.
Yeah, he's going to be in there. Yeah, Chicharito's got to be in there. and Chucky as well.
Chicharito will be in there, and of course he's going to start. And frankly, he's probably going to start all 3 games.
My question is
Hopefully
Tecatito. I haven't heard much from Tecatito.
It's funny you mentioned that, Chiquis, because when Osorio was talking about the competition on the wings, he mentioned everybody but Tecatito.
Oh, and I had heard through the grapevine that he might be getting blacklisted. I don't know what he did, but they said that we will know for next month when they fecha FIFA, 23rd and 27th. He's not called up then. Chances are he's not going to get called up.
That's crazy. If he doesn't, man, 3 and out is what I'm hoping for.
Just because Tecatito?
Yeah, he's the best player on the whole team.
More that you rate him higher than Chucky?
Yep. I think Chucky, I mean, everyone's spazzing out. Everyone's going crazy about Chucky. I think we talked about the Dutch League before.
Are you calling the Dutch League the MLS of Europe?
Yeah, I mean, sort of. I think we're overrating a little bit on Chucky. He could easily come back to the national team and miss sitters.
Well, when Chucky did, I mean, he's only come back once from his stint in Europe, and he did score in the one game that he played. It was against TNT there at the Alfonso Lastras in San Luis Potosí. And he did the one thing that I wish every Mexican player would do when they have an opportunity to score. When you're, within the 18-yard box or in that general area, and that is pick a spot and don't shoot, pass it into the net, and that's what he did. And I think that old team would have probably taken the shot and kicked it right at the goal. So I do think that Chucky is learning. Now, I will agree with you all that the Dutch league is not a league that is known for its defensive prowess. And I do think that if Javier Hernandez played in the Dutch league, he'd probably have upwards of 15, 16 goals. Kind of like, the Bundesliga is not necessarily a defender's league like, say, the Premier League is or Serie A. And Chicharito, had a really good season when he in his first season there in the Bundesliga, and he was able to harness that goal scoring strength by scoring a grand total of 1 goal in the Copa America Centenario. So I can kind of see your point there, Chiquis, about Chucky, but I do think that he, because of the fact that he is scoring goals, I think that it is helping him. And he's going to play a position where he's not. I mean, yes, he's counted on to score goals, but I mean, honestly, when your wingers score goals, it's not necessarily gravy, but it's like, it's nice that it's happening. And he has taken full advantage of the opportunity that he's been given, and he's done very well. And I think for that he needs to be commended. I know that for some reason that the Mexican thing to do is to crap all over success. I'm not sure why that is, but I do think that we need to recognize.
You know why, John? It's instilled in us from kids where we get a piñata and it's usually in the shape of like something we cherish. And then we get a stick and we beat the crap out of it, and candy comes out. I think that has some type of effect. Like I said, we crap on Chucky enough, you end up doing something good. Tough love.
Is that what it is?
That's my best guess, man.
That's the theory. I don't like to sit overconfident and end up getting owned.
Well, I understand. I mean, that's like kind of the extreme positions that Joel is talking about with Chivas fans, where they lose 2 and the sky's falling, and the worst team on the history, and then they win 2 and they're like, oh my god, I cannot believe no one can stop the Chivas train. So I certainly see that too, but if you ever read any comments on any tweet or any article that's written about a Mexican player, particularly one who's having a successful season, and holy, I mean, it is painful. It is painful. Como inflan estos petardos que es una diva que no quiere. I mean, come on. It cracks me up. So it's like, dude, why can't you just be happy for the guy?
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm glad he's doing well. I'm glad he's scoring. I'm just not going overboard on it. Hopefully, he comes back to the national team, does well, and gets some goals. But I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't really happen.
Hey man, if Chucky can be a Jalamarca like Javier, then it'll.
Yeah, that'll be great. That'll be great. Open up some Tecatito time for him to dribble around some people and score some.
Well, according to Joel, Tecatito is going to be spending the World Cup like the rest of us.
Oh man, I said that's a rumor. But something to look out for when they do the list, and especially with what you said, with JCO not even naming him.
Well, I mean, it's not like he's been tearing it up in Portugal for the past year and a half. So, I mean, yeah. I mean, I know that he's had a lot of personal issues, and I get that. I know that, some people have different ways of working through that, and that's fine. But I mean, he went to Porto when he was 21, 22, and Porto does not buy players to stay on their team for. They buy players to play for 1 or 2 years tops and then sell them for 5 times what they pay. And that didn't happen with Tecatito, and it didn't happen with Herrera, and it certainly didn't happen with Diego Reyes. So, all 3 of those guys have a very uncertain future at the end of the World Cup in Russia. We'll see how that turns out. Gentlemen, any last thoughts before we wrap it up here tonight?
No.
I think we're good. Mañana Pumas.
All right then. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and put the broche de oro on this one. And by the way, kudos to NBC for airing Andres Cantor's promo for the World Cup during the Super Bowl. That was fantastic. I'm really, really happy for Andres to get that kind of airtime. Did y'all see that commercial? Did y'all see what I'm going to talk about?
I saw a preview. He drops the mic at the end, right?
Yeah, it was terrific.
He does some mic drop.
It was really funny. It was a great commercial. So good for him. But and I brought him up because he didn't have what he always say para ponerle broche de oro en este partido, like a third goal or whatever it is. So a big hello to and a shout out to Andres Cantor for getting the opportunity to call the World Cup on television again after, I guess it's almost like a 16-year absence. Oh, 20-year absence. Wow, it's been 20 years since Andres Cantor called the World Cup on TV. That's
98.
Yeah. Glad to have him back.
Shout out to all the homies on the chat: Sergio, MJP, Perm65, Ronnie.
I wish I could have been paying attention more to the chat tonight, but since I'm in the car, it was, I don't want to do too many things to distract me from
you don't want to do that
from my driving. So, but anyway, well, listen, Joel, thanks very much for joining us.
Anytime, John.
And I want a big shout out to Dan I know Dan had to step off, but we're glad to have Dan on, and I'm sure that he will be watching his Santos with bated breath tonight against Chivas, and we'll have to ask him. Hopefully things work out for him. We'll see how it goes. We'll definitely broach the subject next week when we hop on again. Chiquis, as always, a pleasure. Thanks for starting off the show. I know that I was.
Yeah, man, no problem. I retract my shout out. I retract my shout out to Serge.
What did Serge do?
He said don't shout me out.
Oh, so we have to retract the show.
He got offended.
We need to get either Serge or Metalero on the show.
I don't think he's coming. No, I don't think we have invited Serge. Quedamos mal.
Well, I thought Serge had
Tuvimos-
been on the show.
And he called. He's called.
Oh yeah.
But he hasn't been on the panel. Todavía no le han dado el
Well-
pase VIP.
Well, mira, cuando tenemos que entrar al centro de crisis de América, we'll put Serge on.
Well, we are heading toward a super clásico. So
Oh, that's right. That's right. Maybe we'll have Sergio on for that. But anyway, well, thanks everyone on the chat. And again, you can listen to this in our previous editions of the Cantina. Our previous, is it 100? Is this edition 122, Chiquis, or 121?
Yeah, 122.
So you can listen to this in our previous 121 editions of the CantinaMX podcast on iTunes, or you can download it on Google Play, or of course you could go to our YouTube page, and please follow us on Twitter. We did have a poll up today, which I neglected to mention. An overwhelming 88% on our poll said that there's no way that LigaMX is going to get rid of promotion relegation. In fact, I believe the term was "no manches." It's not going to happen. So we do appreciate the folks who voted on that. We do appreciate you for listening. Thank you very much. We'll be on again, hopefully around 9:30 p.m. next Thursday, as we always are on the CantinaMX podcast. My name is John Jagu. Hopefully, I'll be actually at my home station next week, so I have all my toys in front of me, so I can give you all a better listening experience here in the CantinaMX podcast. But I do thank you for indulging us tonight, and we'll do it again next week. Thanks very much.